Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave Podcast. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/Rogue Matter and facebook.com/Rogue Matter Podcasts. Join the movement. Go Rogue, roguematter.com. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, in a festive mood, joined as always by my cohort in crime, the Lord of the Radio himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
Yeah.
How was your Christmas?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was almost like it never happened.
Blur.
It happened so fast. It happened all so fast.
Now we're looking forward
to yours?
It was good. We're looking forward to 2022. One of these years, we want to do I would love to do like a year in review kind of episode, but they always end up putting all the great content like at the very end of the year. Right? So
yeah,
we don't even have time for
that.
And
in some cases, not so great content.
Right. But the stuff people want to talk about, they managed to put it all at the end of the year.
Right. Okay. So, fair enough.
We've had a busy content calendar, a lot of stuff, a lot of news, of course, over the past year. But we're going to focus on two things because it's the holidays, darn it, and we want to get back to our eggnog. We had the Hawkeye finale last week. And we had the return of the Matrix, the resurrection of the Matrix. You might even call it Matrix Resurrections. Matrix.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. We're going to start tonight with Hawkeye. Now, you and I were kind of talking off air the last couple weeks, and we had a great show 2 weeks ago all about whether we're watching these MCU shows for the right reasons, right? Are we watching them to see who's going to appear, or are we actually into the actual show itself, right? And the Hawkeye finale came out, and I thought overall was pretty tight. I thought again, I think the first two episodes of Hawkeye were not as engaging as what it amounted to be. And overall, Hawkeye as a series I enjoyed. But you and I were talking, and it seems like Hawkeye is now universally loved, right? Is that still the case? I think it's one of those things.
Up until the last episode, then I saw some dialogue change. That's why I never pay attention to the internet, because the internet is very fickle.
Correct.
So like real. Some people were some attitudes were like the ending was disappointing. So now like Game of Thrones, now the whole thing, all the goodwill just never existed.
Now, if you have not, we didn't end up doing Hawkeye finale last week because we figured let's give it time to digest a little bit, but also let's give you guys a chance to watch it because there was a lot of stuff going on last Wednesday with the release of Matrix and Hawkeye on the same day, plus Spider-Man No Way Home, still kind of devouring the box office. So overall, as a series, don't judge it by the finale. What's your overall take on the Hawkeye series?
I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. I think it's very good content.
Yeah.
In the binary way that we have to look at everything. It's like, was it the best thing you ever saw? No, hell no. But pretty much on average, everything I see recently is not the best thing I ever saw, but It's perfectly good. It's perfectly entertaining, perfectly good content. I liked the characters. I didn't mind the circumstances. There might have been one or two things I missed over the week. Like I have to watch it again, just to make sure that I'm completely up to speed on it. But it was fine. I mean, the ending, I would somewhat agree with a sort of underwhelming ending, but at least we didn't overblow the possibilities of the ending so much that when we got a very average season finale for a very good but average season finale for a first season of a show, I wasn't like, this is just completely useless. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. So, I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I'll be there for the next one.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I also enjoyed it as a whole, and I was not that upset with the finale because, look, they specifically panned away at that crucial scene, which is what everyone is kind of upset about, which is why bring back an iconic Marvel character into the fold just to kill him off?
Well, I mean, why would they? Like, how come nobody has any sense? How come nobody thinks? If you didn't see the person die, then he didn't die.
Right.
You know, like how?
If you didn't realize, 2 scenes earlier, he had just gotten run over by a car and shot with an arrow. So he clearly there's something going on there, and just because
he's the Kingpin, he's a force of nature in and of himself, right? Yes. So, oh my God, this is what I'm saying. This is why I don't involve myself in this kind of nonsense, because it is nonsense. I can see people say something, pertaining to the punditry of all this stuff, which is the bane of it. The stuff itself, the content itself is fine. The content itself is the content. The content rarely changes. It's how people react to the content. Yeah. And someone who is an advocate for said content for weeks and weeks can see one thing and then turn around and say, I never liked this. I wasn't happy with it from the beginning. So you can't even listen to half of these people because they're BS. But it's not that scene in and of itself didn't do anything to me, really. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, that's a clever way to get out of that transition. Yeah.
You just hear a gunshot.
Yeah.
You don't even see her fire it necessarily.
It's not even. Yeah, of course, and of course he's not. Why would you bring him back for all that? Why would Vincent D'Onofrio do that? Why would you? Come on, Vincent D'Onofrio is not Tom Cruise.
Yes,
but he's Vincent D'Onofrio. Everybody knows who he is. All right, yes. So it cost them money to bring him back.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not over, people.
Something that we didn't bring up in the Spider-Man No Way Home review we did last week was the appearance of Daredevil. And what I liked in the sense of the timing of the Marvel film release of Spider-Man and the Hawkeye series, which again, originally, they've had to really reshuffle the deck a lot here, right? Doctor Strange was originally supposed to come out before Spider-Man No Way Home, but then that got pushed to after Spider-Man No Way Home, so they had to change that around. WandaVision came out before Falcon and Winter Soldier, which that was not supposed to be the case. They've had to kind of on the fly deal with a lot of these things they can't control and manage to get it in a way that is cohesive. So I got to give thumbs up to them. But what amazing timing to have Daredevil appear in the same week that Kingpin reappears. The one thing I don't get, and this is the part that kind of bugged me about this, is why is he appearing in Hawkeye? Of all the things, Kingpin is not a Hawkeye villain. I know, I get the idea of it is that it was Ronin, and Ronin is, an Echo, and, but it almost felt like two separate stories that kind of got pieced together or storylines, I should say, that kind of got merged together. And again, as I've said in previous takes, this is the ultimate universe. The MCU is the ultimate universe. So things don't have to happen the way they happened in the comics. They can diverge and they can have their own thing. But Hawkeye worried about the Kingpin was always a little odd to me. And
well, you didn't know he was worried about the Kingpin until the last episode, right? So but that's what it ultimately, for one episode that was odd.
No, because at the end, then it ultimately became the Kingpin, and I'm like, oh, well, that, all right. Not that Hawkeye doesn't have.
That's what I'm saying. One episode, like the last 5 minutes of last episode and all of this episode.
Yeah, but then what that does though is it makes the whole series now all about Kingpin to me. It makes everything that they were building towards. So now all of a sudden it's not just in my mind. Episode 5 and episode 6, it's, oh gosh, the whole series is about Kingpin. It's her mom was working with Kingpin. Her mom, framed, her fiance and killed that guy because of Kingpin. Kingpin's clutches are now all over this series, which I find interesting. And again, I don't think it's a bad thing. I just don't, but part of it just, kind of has me thinking like, all right, it's different. I wasn't expecting that, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
Fair
enough.
I think it's kind of interesting also because you have what is a definitive Hawkeye plotline, which is Florence Pugh's character with Black Widow and the bond that they shared
think it's just Pew.
Is it?
Pew.
Not Pug?
Yeah, no, that's not pronounced Pug.
Like as in you're going to a church and you want to sit in a pew?
Yes, in a pew. Yes.
Got it. So
pew.
Florence sit in a pew. Who's magnetic on screen. I love every minute that she's on there. I love even that like Kate Bishop is like, I really am starting to like you. Like, yeah, and she's like, how can you not? And I'm like, I know.
Yeah. You know what? That's what's really funny. That I didn't like that. I didn't like any of their interactions, which is really funny because everyone's raving about that.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a big deal. Obviously it's a great thing. So that's fine. But that was so Whedon-esque, you know?
Yes.
And
yes.
And it's just, I'm just so done with witty banter.
Yeah.
You know, and two characters like, you know, I
know.
I'm just done with it. I really am. So
it was odd to me too.
I'm one of the few people who like really didn't do much for me. I didn't think that their exchange was all that clever, you know. And I don't think the revelation that she was there to in the episode before that. I don't think the revelation that she was there to kill Clint was all that shocking. And they played it as though there was supposed to be a shock value, a shock factor to it.
Well, the shock value was that the mom hired is I guess
no, but that didn't happen till the end. So the sequence in and of itself, they played it. She made that comment. I'm here to kill him. Yeah. As though that was supposed to be a big deal. And it's like, yeah, but she already tried to kill him. Yeah. So that piece of dialogue was kind of superfluous. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was just it sounded like dialogue.
Yeah.
It sounded like a written banter exchange instead of organic. So to me, that kind of bugged me.
Yeah, I kind of just went along with it, but I was like Florence Pugh. Her character is just one of the worst assassins I've ever seen then, because she's like, well, I'm just going to dance around. I don't want to kill you because you're a woman, I guess, or, you know, you're
she's
very
going to
nice.
be a good guy, right? She's going to be like,
well, I know she's going to be, yes. But at the same time,
Black Widow.
It's just how she's presented is as a, as a bad guy or as an assassin. It's a little tough on that one. So yeah, the plot line. Yes, she's going to be a good guy at some point. We understand that. But again, that plot line fits Hawkeye. It fits everything the MCU Hawkeye has gone through. So I'm actually a little surprised they didn't make her more of a major character. Bring her in earlier. We look at the end of the Black Widow movie. It was set up that she was going to be more of a major character in this series. And ultimately, I think she got shortchanged. I think her moment with Hawkeye at the end, got shortchanged because they were kind of focused on bringing this, the Netflix, universe into the MCU in this particular show. And I think in a way, 6 episodes might not have been enough if you're going to tell these 2 separate storylines and bring it in. That being said, look, I enjoyed it. I can't say I didn't enjoy it. I like you. I enjoyed it. I was along for the ride. Is it the best thing I've ever seen? No, but there was. I think ultimately, if my big complaint is that there was too much story, that's a better complaint than I was bored, right?
I would have preferred whatever he said to trigger her nostalgia. I would have preferred that be something that wasn't brand new and out of the just fresh out of the box. Yep. That it was some piece of trivia or some piece of information that we had already previously been given before now in all the Avengers movies and all the times we saw Black Widow, so that it wouldn't be just kind of like, oh, he just happens to be humming a tune that triggers her memory and then she suddenly doesn't want to kill him.
Yeah.
And then she,
well, he did. Wait, hang on. The whistle was brought up in the Black Widow movie. That's essentially what it was.
Right. Like I said.
I agree.
So anyway, I just kind of wish that it was something better than that.
Yeah.
Because that's aftermarket.
Yeah.
Because she's already dead. They already know they need to bring Florence Pugh in. They already said, okay, and then she would probably want to kill Clint because for whatever reasons. Because they didn't really even explain
No.
What her reason was. I mean, she was sent by Kingpin to kill him, theoretically.
No, well, not
because they don't. It's very vague exactly.
It was I guess technically the mom, because she was worried about her daughter getting too close.
Because her daughter said, "My mother was setting you up to be killed by Kingpin."
Yeah.
So she hired a Black Widow person to kill you. That's what that's one of the pieces of dialogue that I actually enjoyed. I actually enjoyed Kate Bishop. That they didn't not her in general, but the fact that they didn't play the divided loyalties thing, where she was like immediately like, this is wrong. Like, my mom wanted to do something really terrible, and I'm gonna go tell the guy who she wanted to do something terrible to. And instead of like, oh, now I have to protect my mom, so I can't be a superhero, maybe I won't tell. It wasn't we didn't get bogged down in all that, so that was really good. But okay, so she wanted to kill. She was sent by Kingpin to kill Clint, sort of. And then in the process, she wanted information about Natasha.
Yeah.
Because somehow she knows that the two of them were together last. Even though they were together last on another planet while everybody else was blinked out of existence. So
it wasn't a good handoff, because don't forget, the person that hired her originally in the end of the Black Widow movie was Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Madame Hydra. So that's the one part that didn't. Like I said, they almost should have made the whole series about this.
Yeah, I guess so. But here's the thing, and this is something I probably wouldn't say about any other franchise. Whatever loose thread it is, they'll fix it.
Yeah, because
that's basically what they do. The MCU is very much like the Star Wars expanded universe. It very much works like the Star Wars expanded universe. They usually throw something out there, get a reaction, and then retool everything to fix the reaction. Just like the Star Wars expanded universe that used to do. There's a lot of stuff that was in the movies that was somewhat inexplicable or didn't require explanation. We didn't need to know the background of the Imperial Admiral who flew into the asteroid field or whatever. But we'll get that in the expanding universe. We'll get aftermarket information, and that became the standard way that information was delineated throughout the universe. So the standard way of the MCU, I guess, is that we will hint at this, but eventually we'll get to the bottom of it when it comes to the forefront. And we'll have a good explanation for it. Just like the Mandarin. See what they did with the Mandarin.
I see what you just did there. It does course correct.
It does course correct itself.
Very well done.
So I mean, I shouldn't. Because I probably wouldn't let any other franchise off that easily. So I basically shouldn't be like, well, it's okay, because I know they'll fix it, but they'll fix it. What do you guys think? Did it need fixing at all? Was it a satisfying conclusion? Was it a satisfying series? And speaking of course correction, I don't care what they think. Chat, leave it in the YouTube comments. Put it in the Facebook comments. We will comment you back. Speaking of course correction, coming up next, our rogue review of Matrix Resurrections. There is no spoon. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Just a reminder, go on to roguematter.com. We are giving away custom sneakers right now from a true Rogue artist. We also have amazing content as well. Making Markham, issues 1, 2, and 3 are all live. It's got a John Wick meets Punisher vibe to it. Meets Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, actually, a little bit. It's a little bit of everything in there. It's a cool 3-issue comic book storyline with a lot of stories yet to come from that character. There's Key to the City. There's all kinds of great stuff, and it's all free. Just go on there. Everything on roguematter.com is free to read. You can read it in a very cool digital reader. I don't know, you can't beat free. roguematter.com. Check it out. All right. We are going to do our final Rogue review of the year. And
what a movie to do, to be honest with you. I think this is something that was a pipe dream many years ago.
What key was that you just achieved right
That
now?
was
what a movie to do! What was that?
It was exactly.
That was like a C major. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I am pretty major. The movie itself is something that was a pipe dream for many of us, and I would say pre-John Wick, which is obviously the impetus for why this got made. Period. Was one of those like, man, I don't know if they should do this again. Kind of dialogues we used to have, right? Like, what's one movie that they should reboot? I think Matrix would come up in that. What's one movie they shouldn't reboot? I think Matrix would have come up in that, in that discussion. I think it's one of those things. And maybe not even reboot. Yeah. As the appropriately titled, it's Matrix Resurrections. Now, we did
it doesn't seem to me like it's a reboot.
No, it's definitely not. It's not. Well, it is a resurrection. It's a reboot in the sense that they introduce new characters that theoretically you could expand the universe and continue the universe, maybe without Keanu Reeves if necessary. I don't know if they did it successfully or not, but in that regard, it might be a reboot. But anyway, we did a rogue review of Spider-Man No Way Home last week, in which I got to go first. I want to hear your thoughts this week on Matrix Resurrections.
I thought it was really strong story. And I thought it was really beautiful. I thought the execution of said story left a lot to be desired by me. I see why there's a lot of mixed reviews out there for it, because if you're really a cerebral type, you're gonna bypass a lot of the emotionality of it, and you're just gonna get to the cerebrum of it. And there's a lot of that in this. If you're into love of nostalgia or meta narrative,
oh god, yeah,
it overloads on that. But if you're a sentimentalist, a lot of the sentimentality is just so poorly distributed throughout the story. It's just so, and it doesn't come off to me. It comes off more like fan fiction to me. It doesn't come off like another edition of
that's interesting.
This previously great franchise, because a lot of characters just come on the scene and dump information. This is what I did, and this is what happened when that happened, and that's why I'm like this now, and I'm angry, and and this and that, and then they're gone, and they're almost inconsequential to it, because basically, like the Matrix, the ship that the main ship of the storyline is a rogue ship. Bing 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 rogue.
Oh, I like it.
It's a rogue ship, and they go off on their own against orders to do X, to do Y, to do
Always
Z.
Be selling. I love it.
And that's exactly why that's the impetus for the tension in the story or whatever. So they of course need people to rebel against, and that's why you get the establishment that comes in, who is for some reason against helping Neo. And I mean, it's a it's a solution in search of a problem kind of situation to me. Now, I thought it was beautiful. I thought if my personal assessment of the film is that if they had taken on it's full of visual references to the original Matrix.
Yes,
not just verbal, but there literally are visual cues compare and contrast. So something is happening in our universe, and then something is happening in 1999.
Yeah,
and so blah blah blah. And I thought if they had taken all that out and just relied on their exposition, put more effort into the acting, into the exposition of what was it, I think it would have been an infinitely and intricately more sophisticated story. But I think, I'm not saying that they were lazy, because you can't make a movie like this and be lazy.
Right.
But I think that they just did not want to risk over-stimulating people's cerebrum,
Yeah.
and not being able to market the nostalgia aspect of the story.
Yeah.
So
I gotta tell you, actually, I liked that they kept showing sequences, not necessarily from the first movie, but from the second and third, because I don't remember a single thing. I remember the orgy rave, the giant, like, drum beat orgy rave from the second movie, and I remember Neo being, like, lifted off the ground by the machines after he sacrifices himself at the end. Like,
the story should have been told in a manner that you don't need to know about them, and that the cleverness of it is that if you go back and watch the other movies, there are references in this story to that, so you can have a broader experience, but it doesn't rely on that to stand alone, to be its own movie. If I were doing it, not to say I would have succeeded, because I probably would have botched it, but if I were doing it, that would have been my goal. Like, I'm not going to lean on this other stuff. I'm going to continue the story.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was really good. A good watch, a good popcorn watch, a good experience. I agree with some pundits out there who said that the Wachowskis, they should just give it to someone else, because they don't have, they're very good. I mean, I think it was only Lana Wachowski.
Yeah, it was just Lana who did this one.
So her understanding of her command of visuals is really good. And action sequences, but these movies are unabashedly sentimental, and for something that's so unabashedly sentimental, they don't really capture the sentimentality very well, in my opinion. Like, lines that I've read about love and and togetherness or whatever sound like they're being read. They don't sound like they're coming from the heart of per character. And I don't know what the cause of that is.
That's an interesting point, though, because I'm just going back to the original Matrix, which I think the general consensus is that's the best of all the films. I don't think that's an argument, really. Okay. That the general consensus is that
you love that general consensus. Okay,
yeah, I just say. But if you go back to the first Matrix film, I mean, what is the star of the first Matrix film? The star of the first Matrix film is the concept and the action. I always felt that the love part of the first Matrix film, while appropriate and and had its place there, was maybe the third component to it, like the attraction between.
It turned out to be, well, yeah. First of all,
the attraction between Keanu Reeves and Trinity, or Neo and Trinity, was kind of.
It was the impetus for him to go out to meet her in the first place, right? Follow the White Rabbit. I mean, it is interwoven very, very heavily into that narrative. Yes. At the end,
but to your point, though,
she wakes him up after he's been shot because she's in love with him, and so he wakes up because he's in love with her. So, and then becomes a savior. I mean, that's a big component.
It's absolutely a huge component to it. But to your point, I remember even thinking in the first film, I think this, I don't feel it as much as I should. I in that first thing.
And that, it's not a problem in the first Matrix, because it is a story told in an enormously stylized way.
Yes. But
for some reason, they're kind of getting away from the style and trying to delve into the character, and they don't seem to do that very well, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. When you're not finding innovative new visual ways to tell your story, and then you just try to fall back on people in rooms talking to each other.
Yeah,
it's a completely different science. You can't bullet time your way through a conversation,
right?
Even though they actually do that in this movie.
Yes.
And to me, it's like, okay, that's just clunky. Now, like, that's not me saying it's bad, but I'm not a person who is too deeply into acting,
Yeah.
Right. To set myself up for another kick in the head again. I like the Star Wars prequels because I don't really give a damn about acting. I like the stories.
Right.
But when I notice a badly delivered line, that's real bad, because usually that doesn't come up on my radar.
Got it.
And so I'm like, oof, like some of the stuff is just like, oof. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of people monologuing, which is fine. I'm telling you, it's fine. But you got to execute. You have to get another visual perspective on it.
Yeah.
You have to have another take on it. Yeah. So that's kind of my feelings of it. It's an excellent story, and it's a very beautifully filmed movie.
Mm-hmm.
It does not compete with the first one, but I think it's better than the following sequels.
Sure.
Of Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revelations. I like the ending of it ish, you know. I like that Neo and Trinity are quote unquote back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with getting our heroes back, because we usually don't.
Yeah.
But I do think that it overreaches in ways that it's not prepared to be able to deliver on.
Yeah.
And that is mostly in the sentimentality aspects of it, in the narrative, in the character aspect. It doesn't really. And the second and the third one kind of proved that also, because when it started to get into Zion and get into the weeds where there's actually people talking to each other and explaining the universe that they're living in, it does start to just drag. It stops. Yeah, so, the whole movie stops because they don't handle that very well.
Yeah.
They handle people running in slow motion and flipping around ceilings and, you know, and things exploding all over the place and you know, and zombies and drones and all kinds of stuff. They do not handle, because one of the most captivating sequences is in Revelations, is the Battle of Zion.
Yeah.
Still one of the most beautiful, you know, science fiction battles I've ever seen depicted. It's really wonderful. They are good at that. They're not good at the character aspects of it. And so, and this one tries really hard to be character driven, and it doesn't really work, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would sit there and say I liked the film overall. I think it's a reinvention. I think that's the word we were kind of looking for, right? I think it's a reinvention rather than a reboot. I just think it's a sequel. I don't think it is. It's anything more than just a sequel. You know, but you know, it addresses its own. I liked the meta value of it in the first half hour. You know, especially when the video game guys are going through, you know, discussing what is the Matrix and what made it so good, and would people want to go back to it. I liked that at the beginning. I thought that was kind of clever. I thought the fact that they made him a video game developer and he developed the Matrix and won awards for it. I think all of that with the nod and a wink was actually
a lot of nods and a lot of
but you know what? But again, and I liked the fact that they showed clips and footage from the originals. Because to me, that is actually a visually interesting way of doing it, rather than just relying on us to remember. Especially 2 out of the 3 films to me are so unmemorable, with the exception of the 2 scenes I described to you. You know, that there's an element of, okay, like I'm on board for this. I'm on board for how you're approaching this, and I'm on board for, you know, what we're experiencing. There was a blast of nostalgia, but it also felt, you know, kind of new, and it felt kind of different. It was difficult to wrap my head around, as you kind of alluded to, the machine world, so to speak. Like, why is there another Matrix? There's another Matrix because now the machines are fighting with each other. Okay, I guess that's something, you know, something different, you know. And now
they very vaguely explained,
right,
kind of what happened afterwards.
Yeah.
The good thing they did, not to cut too deeply into the one good thing they did is they didn't erase the events of the other movies, like the Star Wars movies did, where they just said, hey, you know what, you beat the Empire, but the Empire's back and the Emperor's back, sorry. They kind of said, no, you did achieve peace.
Right.
And that allowed us to build this whole new city. And
and 60 years later is a good amount of time for something new to have happened.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's actually kind of cool.
20 to 30 years.
And that plot device allowed for a new Morpheus to come in and a new Agent Smith to come in, because now this is there's a new Agent Smith because it's a not the same Matrix, right? It's Agent Smith's consciousness in a different body. It's Morpheus because, you know, that was a clever way to bring the character back, but without having to, you know, bring back Lawrence Fishburne. They could have brought back Lawrence Fishburne. I think it would have been just fine.
Not having to pay Lawrence Fishburne.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. No, but it was cool. I mean, it was cool little things. It was, and I thought I think the first half of the movie is so intriguing in the way they're doing it. I liked Bugs. I liked her a lot. I thought that she was a very strong character and a strong like introspection into what the Matrix means for folks like us who got to see the original Matrix and what a groundbreaking film it was. You know, she's kind of the voice of or the eyes of the next generation of people that are peering into the Matrix. She's literally peering into the Matrix. She's literally peering into a recreation of the original opening scene of the Matrix. And I thought that was cleverly done. If you recall, when we were looking at the trailers, one of the things that was so, that I was nervous about was that it was going to be a retread of the original Matrix. And in no way, shape, or form, even though they brought in scene by scene recreations of things that had happened in the original Matrix, it didn't feel like a retread to me. It felt like something new I was watching. Neil Patrick Harris was phenomenal, as he is in everything that he's in, by the way, I think. Great choice to bring him in as the, as the analyst, as the term that they coin for the villain.
The analyst. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying
the guy who took over for the architect.
Right. Exactly. No, and I like these kind of official, terms that they use for the, just to kind of label them as something. And I thought his explanation and the way he delivered his exposition was probably the strongest, in the sense that it was very clean cut. I took over, and here's, he was
the Christopher Lee role, right?
Yes.
When you're watching Attack of the Clones and everybody's stumbling through their dialogue, and Christopher Lee just comes in and effortlessly reads the same dialogue, and he sounds infinitely, more realistic and genuine than everybody else. Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris just kind of
he kills it.
He kind of moonwalked through that entire scene, So absolutely, he's always been good.
Yeah, and. Again, by the 2/3 mark of the movie, there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of info dump, and again, maybe it's my own personal bias because of how much I don't say I disliked Matrix 2 and 3. I was bored by Matrix 2 and 3. Like, I was so disinterested in Matrix 2 and 3 because of the world that they were inhabiting, and it just was not appealing to me. So by 2/3 of the way in, I'm we're back into that world a little bit, and that was Jada Pinkett Smith. Is that what that was?
Yes.
Yeah, that was her, right? And she was coming in.
Niobe.
Right. I have no connection to this character because, again, apathy. I have apathy toward the second and third movies. I have, disinterest in the second and third movies. I'm just bored by them. So I wasn't as connected to her reappearing. So I'm just saying her reappearance to me was not as earth shattering as, say, like,
But it's not earth shattering because it's not really done in a manner that's like, this is an important scene.
Yeah.
It's more done in the manner of, hey, look, Niobe's back, everybody. Right. We got her back, just like the Merovingian, who you still don't remember.
Oh my God, that scene in the middle, I don't remember him at all.
Is like, and everybody else, that's supposed to be it's the Merovingian, and it's like,
no, yeah. And he's the guy, basically, he's us now, or he's, I would just say us in the sense, not like us as in like a group of people. I mean, like me and you talking about how things were better back then. Like he is the metaphoric. Yeah,
because I mean, his shtick in the third movie was just to chew scenery, and talk and nonstop. You know, so of course he's doing it again, but he's a homeless guy. So all right, okay. Look,
I like this commentary.
I think the film works.
Yeah, I do.
I think the film works. I think it's fine. And that's damning because I can see how, wow, this would have been amazing if, right? Just like everyone's like, the prequels could have been amazing if the acting was good and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. You say that the nostalgia worked for you.
Yeah.
I say that the meta nostalgia stuff.
I think it got overdone by the middle, though. Like I said, by the 2/3 in, I'm like, all right, we don't need meta 2/3 of the way in at this point.
But here's what I'm saying. I'm not even saying that it doesn't work. I agree with you that that's fine, but I think it stopped them from being able to kind of hack into a way more intricate, more sophisticated story.
I like what you just did there.
Yes, I did that on purpose.
That was very clever.
I think it kind of prevented them from being able to really get into the weeds of what they were trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think it's obvious. I think it's almost like obvious, like, oh, you're just using that to just to help my synapse fire without making me think about it. You know? And so, it's like candy instead of vegetables. But it's fine. It's fine. I thought
it was better than fine. But what did you guys think? Did you think it was better than fine? I don't think
you're better than fine. No.
I think I'm fine in general.
I know you think you're fine.
Baby. When we come back,
you just ruined that.
We'll put a bow on tonight's episode. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. I want to thank Hassan for being here in the week between Christmas and New Year's when we didn't want to be here. I was so primed to take this week off.
But Hassan doesn't ever do anything on the holidays.
When we come back next week, we've got some huge announcements, some big changes coming up. You're going to notice some will be superficial changes, and others will be changes in format a little bit. We're going to experiment. We're going to go as rogue as we possibly can in 2022, and we're going to start by having Fear Street alum star Jackie Venny coming on to talk about her next horror film, which is coming out next month as well on Netflix as well. So we're still bringing in big celebrities, which I applaud and love, but we're going to be really connecting with Rogue Matter and really unleashing the full force of what Rogue Matter is in 2022. I can't wait.
Me neither.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
Yeah.
Jinx. Jinx.
Yeah, we've been doing this too long.
Another year. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be super rippable.
You guys, have a great New Year. We will see you all in 2022. Rogue Wave. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.